Today's gospel tells us that Mary and Joseph felt anxious. They felt anxious when they realized they couldn't see Jesus with them. They're on the road back to Nazareth. And I understand that feeling. More than once, I started down a path, certain that Jesus is with me. And that sense of certainty gave me strength. Then something happens, and when I look around, my certainty vanishes. Why? Well, my certainty vanishes at that point because just like Mary and Joseph, I can't see Jesus with me. And just like them, I'm in a situation I had not expected to be in. And the situation seems even worse sometimes because now I have to make choices. And I have to make choices that I had not planned on or thought I would ever have to make. Why? Well, I have to because I was so certain that I knew the way that Jesus was walking, and he was on that path also. So let's take a look what Mary does when the certainty changes into uncertainty. What did they choose to do when they couldn't see Jesus? Well, Mary and Joseph chose to search for him. And once they could see him, he hadn't left them. And it seems they just hadn't looked for him in the right place. And I wonder if that is one of the lessons of this gospel. That the idea of certainty, of being so sure of ourselves, that it blinds us. And maybe that means certainty isn't all that it's cracked up to be. Maybe it is not a strength. But I don't think that kind of uncertainty is meant to confuse us or rattle us so much that we lose confidence in God and Jesus being with us. And I think this because we practice faith one choice at a time. And our own certainty in our right choices can sometimes blind us, and we can't see Jesus. And then this uncertainty serves as a needed check for us. And you know, what I mean is to check to see if we can see the light and love of Jesus in what we're doing and on the path we're walking. And this reminds me of an article I read about our former president, Jimmy Carter. He's not just a practicing Christian, he's an active and doing Christian. And by that, I mean he attends church on a regular basis. And he has taught Sunday school since he was 18 years of age. And since he was in his late 80s at the time of this article, I figure that man knows his Bible. And he said that faith has long been a source of comfort and strength for him. And the Southern Baptist Convention was an important part of his life for 60 years, until he broke with the Southern Baptist Convention. He wrote that when the Southern Baptist Convention leaders chose to quote a few certainly and carefully selected Bible verses in order to support a view that women are somehow inferior to men, he felt that was wrong. And he felt that that form of discrimination where a group of people are picked out and considered inferior, well, these are his words that he used. He said that action was unjustifiably attributed to God. And as a result, Mr. Carter made a decision that he said was unavoidable. And I suspect he felt his decision was unavoidable. Because in that way of thinking, picking out a whole group of people, I wonder where was the unconditional love that Christ and God gives to us all. And that, I think, is another way to describe not being able to see Jesus. So Mr. Carter made a choice. He chose to sever his ties with the Southern Baptist Convention. And he said it was a painful choice. And he also said that his path of faith led him to join an organization known as the Elders. And this is a group of people, of global leaders from many different faiths and backgrounds. And what they do is use their political independence to help resolve some of the world's most intractable conflicts. In other words, they work to bring reconciliation and peace to peoples all around the world. Now that's a pretty awesome story about a man of faith and tradition and how he dealt with his certainty and his uncertainty and practiced his faith. But I don't think that's the only point of the story. I think this story is also about what God can do in us and through us when we understand that we must choose to look for Jesus in all things. And just because we don't see him does not mean that he has left us. In fact, I believe that Jesus is always with us. And therefore, uncertainty is not a burden. I think it's a gift. It's a blessing. And fortunately, we receive this gift time and time again, no matter what our age, or how much we do or don't know about the Bible and our tradition. And I gotta tell you, that gives me hope. Because I believe that God loves us so much that we are given the opportunity to check and look for Jesus time and time again. And if we can't see him, well, I think it means we're given yet another chance to choose to get right with the way and love of God. And that's the good news. Through the choices we make, we can have the eyes of our heart enlightened, and we can know the hope to which Jesus has called us. And why do I believe that? Well, I believe that because I believe nothing is impossible with God. Amen.